What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. It's time for AEW Dynamite as the members of the Inner Circle battle each other and CM Punk reveals the stipulation for his match against MJF. Join us now as we look at this week's edition of Dynamite, as well as the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know, including a big swerve at Elimination Chamber, Brandi not coming to WWE, another former WWE superstar headed to AEW, John Cena coming to Fortnite, sad news regarding Dudley, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now, as always, we won't recap the matches, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, CM Punk chose wisely. CM Punk proved he's still got it when it comes to cutting edgy, dare we say straight edgy promos, as he set the stage for his next match with MJF, the wrestler who has beat him twice now. Punk discussed his own legacy before differentiating himself from MJF, mainly that Punk learns from his lessons. He told MJF he needs to be taught a lesson, using MJF's own boasts against him by reminding the fans of how Max likened him to Piper in Portland, the territory which Roddy Piper broke out as a star, and revealing the match he had for MJF, a dog collar match, which was a match that Piper made famous at the original Starrcade. Punk called MJF out, and in a brilliant piece of television showed a picture of young MJF getting Punk's autograph. Punk said that day was the greatest day of MJF's life, but for him it was just another Friday. Punk finished by saying Revolution will be the worst day of MJF's life, but for Punk it'll just be another Sunday. Punk left MJF speechless, a rarity and a sign of how scared the salt of the earth is about facing Punk. Sure, Punk was invoking the trope, for me it was Tuesday, but he did it so splendidly, showing it's all about how you execute a trope. It's also proved that a wrestling show can open up with a lengthy promo when it's done by a master. Number 2, Malachi Black Vignette. Another great vignette featuring Malachi Black and Brody King, hinting that a third member will be joining soon. Vignettes that border on supernatural can be hard to pull off, as there's always room for things to get cheesy. However, AEW so far has given these segments an air of credibility while establishing there's definitely something wrong with Black and King. Number 3, great build-up for Moxley Danielson. Is Bryan Danielson looking to team up with Jon Moxley because he's afraid to face him? Well, that's the question Moxley asked when Bryan raised the possibility of an alliance again, with Moxley saying Bryan was able to defeat him when he was young, but the thought of slaying the dragon now? Well, Moxley said he was still thinking over Danielson's offer, but wouldn't stand by anyone until he bleeds with them first. Number 4, Wardlow is a beast. Last night's match between Wardlow and Max Caster was a reminder of how much Wardlow is getting over every week. Indeed, it is like a chain reaction that grows stronger by the moment, and right now, there doesn't appear to be any limit on how over he will get with the fans. AEW used Max Caster's ally Anthony Bowen to make the match competitive by having Bowen interfere, and it also showed the deteriorating relationship between Wardlow and fellow Pinnacle member Shawn Spears doing nothing to counter Bowen's outside interference during the match. Number 5, The Other Adam. Adam Cole vs AEW World Champion Adam Page, a match between two of the best wrestlers and one AEW hasn't wasted any time building up to. The 32-year-old Cole and the 30-year-old Page are at the top of their game, and while Cole may be better on the microphone, Page can definitely keep up with him as seen in last night's promo. The promo added some flash to the match by suggesting AEW only has one Adam worthy of praise and an AEW title. Last night's promo succeeded in showing Cole forming his own faction while subverting the Elite in Kenny Omega's absence. Number 6, a solid street fight. Last night's no DQ brawl between Mercedes Martinez and Thunder Rosa delivered the action as AEW Women's Champion Dr. Britt Baker's hired gun did her best to take out Rosa. AEW isn't afraid to have its women compete in hardcore matches, and so far they've shown an act for making them entertaining. This match also did a good job showing Baker's disgust with Martinez failing to defeat Rosa, which undoubtedly will lead to problems between Martinez and Baker down the road. And number 7, two pillars pummel each other. AEW has been careful not to book rematches, but last night's rematch between Allen and TNT champion Sammy Guevara was fresh and not only showcased two of AEW pillars, but furthered what looks to be an upcoming match between Andrade and the TNT champion. The tainted finish did anger some fans, and to be honest, it really does belong in the bad. AEW maintained its policy of avoiding disqualifications and count-out finishes. But that was a good what about the bad, as AEW exposed. Dynamite typically features the right blend of matches, interviews and vignettes, but last night's episode seemed to come up short in giving its stars a chance to shine. Granted, all 6 of last night's matches were entertaining and served a purpose, but last night's Dynamite exposed AEW's biggest weakness right now. It has too many stars and not enough traditional television time, as opposed to YouTube programs to showcase them. Now Dynamite was good, but there were not enough matches compared to past weeks. There was nothing ugly as AEW did its best to squeeze in as many wrestlers on the show without making Dynamite seem like an overstuffed turkey. AEW is moving storylines well as Revolution draws closer, but it's also avoiding the problem of rushing these storylines. What did you think of Dynamite last night? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at a big swerve planned for Elimination Chamber. Topping today's headlines is a report that Saturday's Elimination Chamber event could feature a major swerve. While fans are expecting Brock Lesnar to emerge victorious from the men's chamber match for the WWE Championship, Meltzer reported on the Wrestling Observer Radio that, "I was told twists and turns coming on this show, so I don't know what those would be. I know that there was a push to do a title versus title, which means Brock wins the chamber and Roman beats Goldberg. I think most people kind of are expecting that. For Brock to lose in the chamber match, I mean, I don't know how you beat him, because again, it's like they haven't done a lot of interference in chamber matches. I suppose you can do it this time, but it would have to take that." Meltzer pointed out that it would make no sense for Lesnar to lose as the WWE wants to hype Brock versus Roman at WrestleMania. However, the WWE has some options for pulling a swerve, and Meltzer seems to think that it's just a matter of how well it's executed. There's a lot of different ways you can go, just the way that they choose. There's 5, 6, 7 different right ways, There's certainly going to be a wrong ways, but I don't think they'll do those wrong ways. I wouldn't bet on it, because if you bet on their booking, you're going to be wrong more than you're right, because their booking is more negative than positive. Now, as we've already pointed out, the idea of a title versus title match is huge, but it creates a delicate situation for the WWE as to what to do with one man holding both world championships unless the WWE decides to unify the belts. Do you think Lesnar is going to win the championship back again? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Cody Rhodes headed to AEW, but what about Brandi? Well, the rumor mill continues to churn out tales of Cody Rhodes headed to WWE soon, but what about Cody's wife Brandi? According to Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso, per multiple sources, Brandi Rhodes is not expected to join her husband in WWE. This is not implying her wrestling career is over, as Rhodes just revealed to SI that she is determined to win championship gold in wrestling. Obviously that won't happen anytime soon in AEW, but she could still wrestle elsewhere, and after working as AEW's chief brand officer, the talented Rhodes will continue to find success wherever she goes. Barrasso reminded readers that Cody's signing with the WWE has not been confirmed and that some believe his exit is a work. In fact, Hall of Famer Bubba Ray Dudley commented on an episode of Busted Open Radio that it's all a work. Seriously, it's all a work and Rhodes is coming back as a heel to destroy AEW. I said that there needs to be a heel that actually possesses a threat to the entire company. Do you really think it's a work? To be honest, I don't. Next up, an odd stipulation for Ronda Rousey's match. Our fans watching this Saturday's match between the team of Rousey and Naomi versus Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville could see an odd stipulation, as Brian Alvarez commented on the Wrestling Observer Radio that the match will have a stipulation where Rousey will compete with one arm tied behind her back, similar to what Austin did when he faced Vince McMahon. Next up, another former superstar headed to AEW. Speaking of the rumors surrounding former WWE superstar Buddy Murphy, aka Buddy Matthews, are heating up, as Meltzer is reporting Buddy is not only headed to AEW, but set to play a significant role. Speaking on the Wrestling Observer, Meltzer noted Matthews could be joining Malachi Black's House of Black. I mean, on the show tonight they had Malachi Black and Brody King hint about a third guy, and I did hear some talk that this Matthews would be the third guy. I don't know that, but it's certainly something that's been talked about, so I would say that could be the case. Do you think Matthews would be a good fit? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, John Cena coming to Fortnite. Is Cena going to appear in the widely popular game Fortnite? Well, according to GameSpot, fans think it could happen soon. According to Jason Finelli, former WWE champion and current peacemaker for DC Comics John Cena posted a picture of the Fortnite island as viewed from space, surrounded by the loop that keeps all of the main characters trapped. Next up, sad news regarding Devon Dudley. The Dudley Boys are arguably one of the greatest tag teams in wrestling, winning titles in a variety of major promotions. Even though both are retired, there was talk of Devon Dudley getting back into the ring for one last match, but sadly that can never be. After complaining of back pain for several years, Devon had spinal fusion surgery to repair it. He reported that they fused his L4, L5 and L6 and the surgery was successful. However, the doctor reported that he can never wrestle again. Now, we were hoping to see Devon enter the Rumble for the first time this year, but sadly that will never happen. It is great to hear Devon is doing well though after the surgery. And finally, AEW stars sitting in catering. And last but not least, former AEW Women's World Champion Hikaru Shida was a big part of the AEW's women's division until recently, so what's her favourite part of being there? A fan recently asked her, and she said, sitting at Catering, watching and talking about wrestling. Unlike former WWE superstar Toni Storm, who seemed to be spending most of her main roster time in Catering, she does seem to have enjoyed her time in AEW both in terms of competing and learning from others. But there you have it folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, as well as a review of this week's Dynamite. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.